Our movie begins with Grace waking up after she and her sister have been kidnapped. They find themselves tied up and terrified with no idea who these people are or what they want from them. Suddenly, a man appears holding an old book and says to her, "The reason you're here is because you managed to win the game of hide and seek. That victory activated a rare clause in the organization's rules, allowing you to compete for the position of governor." He explains that this is the person who holds the ring and absolute power. Everyone must obey his commands. Now she is required to play the game once again. Grace becomes terrified because she barely survived the last time she played. She nervously asks him, "Should I draw another card now? What do I do?" But he calmly tells her there's no need. The game of hide and seek will be replayed, but this time she will be playing against the council members themselves. They will hunt her until sunrise. Whoever kills her wins the position. However, if she manages to hide from all of them until morning, she wins. To understand what happened to her the first time she played this deadly game, here's a quick summary of part one in less than a minute. The story started when Grace married her boyfriend Alex and met his family. On their wedding night, they forced her to participate in a special family ritual. They told her that this ritual was far more important than the marriage itself. It was a game they had been playing since the time of their grandfather, who was a toy merchant. One day, the grandfather met a man named Mr. Leubel, who gave him a mysterious box and challenged him to solve its riddle in exchange for funding his business. The grandfather succeeded, and in return, Leubel made one condition: any new person who joins the family must play this game. It became a sacred family tradition. When it was Grace's turn, she drew a card and got the most dangerous game of all, hide and seek. The entire family began hunting her throughout the day. Their goal was to kill her before sunrise, because if they failed, Leubel's curse would destroy them all. In the end, even Alex betrayed her. After she killed his mother, he planned to finish her off himself. But as soon as the sun rose, his entire family exploded one after another because of the curse. Only Alex remained. The moment Grace removed the ring and threw it in his face after everything she had suffered because of his family. When she wakes up, she finds her hands cuffed to the hospital bed. A detective is standing in front of her, accusing her of being responsible for everything, claiming she deliberately burned the mansion and murdered her husband's entire family. Before she can respond, her sister Faith suddenly walks in. Grace is shocked because they haven't seen each other in over 7 years and have been practically estranged. Faith reminds her that Grace abandoned her and left her behind. The detective leaves them alone. Faith asks what happened to her. Grace replies, "If I tell you, you won't believe me." They start arguing, and Faith regrets coming. As she's about to leave, Grace stops her and finally tells her the whole horrifying story. Faith is completely stunned. She can't believe her sister went through all of that alone. Meanwhile, in another place, we meet one of the organization's senior members, Danforth. His lawyer informs him that the entire Ludomas family has been wiped out. Upon hearing the news, Danforth immediately sends a message to all the families, announcing that Grace is the only survivor of the curse and that the game has officially begun. He tells them to prepare themselves. We learn that each family member is in a different country. As soon as they receive the news, they become extremely excited. Titus and Ursula, Danforth's children, arrive first. We discover that their family has been competing with the Ludomas family for power for a long time. They know everything about the game. Since Grace is now the heir, they instruct their children to make her play and kill her so they can win. The winner gains enormous power, the ability to rule the world with everyone obeying their commands. Danforth orders his children to eliminate him so they can legally hunt Grace. according to the game's rules. They obey and suffocate him with a pillow. At the same time, the detective takes Grace to the police station for questioning. Suddenly, the detective is stabbed in the neck. One of the hunters appears and starts chasing them. Grace and Faith run in terror, not understanding who this person is or why he's after them. They hide and take the detective's gun to try to escape, but suddenly another hunter appears and attacks them. Just as he's about to kill Grace, he explodes violently because he broke the rules by trying to kill her before the game officially started. Grace is no longer surprised by these horrifying scenes, but Faith is screaming in fear. Grace tells her, "There's no time. We have to get out of here. There might be more of them coming to kill us." She frees herself from the handcuffs, changes back into her dress, and prepares to run. Before they can leave, the lawyer steps out of the elevator and sprays them with tear gas, knocking them unconscious. He didn't expect to find Faith there, since their information said Grace had no sister. Still, he decides to take her too. Meanwhile, Titus and Ursula gather all the council members to prepare for the game. They wait for everyone to arrive: their cousin Ignacio and his son Felipe, then Juan and her daughters Chang, and finally their brother Viraj with his wife Martina and Madhu. The lawyer brings Grace and her sister by helicopter. When they wake up, they find themselves in a terrifying situation, tied up in front of people who clearly don't wish them well. Ursula welcomes Grace sarcastically. "Welcome to our home." Grace immediately remembers how her ex fiance's family welcomed her 7 years ago, only for their house to turn into a house of horrors. She realizes these people are also obsessed with the game and want her to play. The lawyer then introduces himself as the sole lawyer for Mr. Leubel and his entire organization. He explains that Grace managed to defeat an entire family, and the organization is run by a council of 6 families. Now only 4 remain, and they are all here. He tells her, "The reason you're here is that you survived the game of hide and seek. This activated a very rare clause in the organization's bylaws, something that has never happened before. You are now allowed to compete for the position of governor, the one who rules over everyone. The ring and absolute power will be in his hands. This is happening because Danforth has died, and the position is now vacant. All of them have the right to compete for it." Grace asks, "So should I draw another card now? What do I do?" He replies that there's no need. Since she survived hide and seek, the game will be replayed, but this time against the council members themselves. They will hunt her until sunrise. Whoever kills her wins the position. If she manages to hide until morning, she wins. If the position remains empty by sunrise, Lubel's curse will activate and kill all council members. Grace says calmly, "I'm not playing." He smiles and says, "Of course it's your choice." Then he orders his assistant to kill her sister. Grace is forced to agree against her will. Faith protests, "What does this have to do with me? I cut ties with her 7 years ago and haven't spoken to her since." But the families see Faith as Grace's weakness, so they decide to keep her. At that moment, Francesca enters. She is Alex's ex fiancee. Grace had no idea she existed. It's clear Francesca hates Grace for stealing Alex from her and later killing him. She is determined to take revenge during the game. They knock both sisters unconscious. The lawyer then sets the rules. They must use the same primitive weapons their ancestors used when they made the deal with Mr. Leubel. Second rule: no council member is allowed to kill another. If anyone does, the curse will fall on their entire bloodline. Each person signs the contract, leaving a drop of blood from their eye, a deal with the devil that cannot be broken. He also explains that each family will send one hunter to chase Grace. The rest will watch from afar. If a hunter dies, the next member from the same family takes their place. After explaining all the conditions, he wishes them luck and leaves Grace and Faith unconscious in the garden. The lawyer counts down and the game begins. The hunters start moving to find her. A short while later, Grace wakes up to find her hands cuffed to her sisters. Faith, realizing the danger they're in, asks, "You told us your story. Why are they hunting me too?" Grace replies, "You don't matter to them at all. They only brought you here to slow me down so they can catch and kill me faster. If you don't listen to everything I say, we will both die tonight." Meanwhile, the twins Titus and Ursula argue about who will wear the ring after they kill Grace. They are extremely confident. Juan uses drones to locate them and tells them she found a loophole in the game that can save them. Before she can finish, the twins destroy her drone. Grace and Faith run at full speed, hoping to escape this nightmare, but their hopes are crushed when they find a huge gate blocking their only way out. They are forced back into the forest. Faith asks angrily, "How didn't you know your fiance was involved with a satanic cult like this? For money?" They argue as usual. Suddenly they hide when they spot Ursula. She tells them she's not their real enemy. She only joined by chance and became part of something much bigger. The rules are clear. It's either her or them. Suddenly, Titus attacks from behind with an axe. They sense him, dodge the blow, knock him down, and escape. This makes Ursula furious at her brother for acting alone when they were so close. She scolds him that they must work together because the prize belongs to both of them, and their father didn't die for nothing. The sisters spot a building in the distance. Faith wants to go inside, hoping to find a phone to call the police. Grace disagrees, saying they'll get caught if they stay in one place too long. They should try to find a way past the gate instead. They argue again. Grace warns her, "Your stupidity is going to get us both killed. This place is wide open. They'll find us in seconds." While they're arguing, Ignacio prepares to snipe them from afar, but his magazine falls when he reloads and fires by mistake. The sisters hear the shot and run. Even though he keeps shooting, he fails to hit them. The other council members watch through the cameras like excited sports fans, mocking Ignacio. One of them even calls his son and says, "Tell your father not to pick up a sniper rifle again." He tries to warn the others about their location via phone, but the lawyer appears and reminds him that cheating is against the rules. Killing each other is allowed, but helping or warning is not. Grace and Faith hide from Ignacio and his deadly sniper. Faith spots a gas cylinder and gets an idea. Suddenly, thick smoke fills the area, blinding Ignacio. As they try to escape, his bullet hits the gas cylinder, causing a huge explosion. Grace gets shrapnel in her arm, but the smoke hides them. They manage to escape and enter the family hotel, which has been cleared of guests, especially for the game. Inside, Faith treats her sister's wound and removes the shrapnel. While doing so, Grace tells her she searched everywhere for her to invite her to the wedding, but couldn't find her. She really wanted her to be there. Suddenly, Viraj appears. They run and hide in the laundry room. They decide to team up and face him together, but first, they need to remove the handcuffs. Viraj hears the sound of a saw and finds their location. When he arrives, they ambush him, beat him, and shove him into the washing machine. Grace doesn't hesitate. She turns it on and grinds him inside. Faith is horrified and asks how she could do such a thing. Grace stops the machine to take his phone and call the police. Viraj comes out in a disgusting, mangled state. His family watches in shock through the cameras. They realize they underestimated Grace. She's strong and ruthless. Madhu becomes scared because it's now his turn to hunt her. The lawyer warns him that if he doesn't participate, Mr. Leubel will be angry and the curse will fall on him, meaning certain death. So Madhu acts honorably and decides to sacrifice his wife. He signs over his position as head of the family to her and rushes to join the hunt. Meanwhile, Grace uses Viraj's phone to call the police and report their location, asking for help. She doesn't know that Ursula has redirected all calls to her own phone, anticipating they might try to contact the authorities. Ursula pretends to be the police and tells her to wait at the main gate. Suddenly, Juan appears in front of them and says, "I'm not here to hurt you. I came to offer you a deal." When Grace asks what the deal is, Juan reveals she found a loophole in Leubel's game. If Grace marries one of the council members, he will take the position and she will be allowed to live. She suggests Grace marry her son Chang, and the hunt will stop immediately. Grace rejects the offer without thinking. Faith tries to convince her to accept because she doesn't know what will happen by morning. They ask what will happen if she accepts. Juan explains that Grace will become part of the organization and must perform the same satanic rituals as them. Grace replies firmly, "You mean I'll have to keep killing innocent people and animals? No, thank you. I'm sorry I can't accept this offer." At that moment, Ignacio appears and tries to kill them. Juan stands in front of them to protect them and reminds him he cannot break the rules and kill her. She pressures Grace, saying there's no time and she has no choice but to accept. Otherwise, Juan will have to kill her and join the hunt. Faith begs Grace to agree so they can survive. The tension rises as Ignacio gets closer. Grace acts quickly, grabs Juan's sword, and drives it through her skull while holding her arm. Since Juan killed a fellow family member, she explodes according to the rules. Her son suffers the same fate. Grace comforts her sister, telling her she'll get used to these gruesome explosions one by one. In this way, they manage to eliminate 3 hunters. Only Titus and his sister remain in the game, still chasing them. Faith picks up a sword to defend herself and asks why Grace didn't accept the offer. Grace answers, "Because I don't want to spend the rest of my life killing people. They're all insane here. They sold their souls to the devil. I refuse to become like them." Faith blames her for abandoning her when she was young and leaving the country. Grace explains honestly that she had to leave because she received a scholarship. Opportunities like that only come once. She was only 18 and couldn't take responsibility for her sister at that age. She planned to return and take her after she graduated, and her situation improved. When Faith still isn't convinced, Grace adds that she tried calling her many times, but Faith never answered. Eventually, they realize arguing about the past is useless now. They need to keep moving. They try calling the police again. This time, Titus answers. He tricks them by saying they should go to the main gate. When they arrive, they fall into the trap and the twins appear in front of them. Grace takes Ursula's gun and tells her to change her voice next time because she knew it was her from the beginning. She orders them to open the gate, but they refuse to speak. Grace threatens to kill Titus if they don't obey. Ursula, showing the same fake honor, says, "Go ahead. He's right in front of you. Kill him. It'll be better for me. I'll get the position alone." Titus uses the moment to try to turn the sisters against each other. He tells Faith that Grace will abandon her again, just like she always does. He distracts them and pulls Faith toward him. Suddenly, Martina arrives safely after taking her husband's place. She drives toward them through the desert road, smashes through the main gate, and escapes. In the chaos, Ursula grabs Grace while Faith manages to escape from Titus. Grace shouts at Faith to run, leave her, and not look back. Go call the police. But Faith refuses to abandon her sister and returns. Ursula stabs Grace, but Faith saves her at the last second and drags her toward the forest. Titus gets up, furious at his sister for almost handing him over earlier. She lies and says she was only tricking them and that he means everything to her, but he doesn't believe her. He knows she would sell him too if it meant winning the position. After his wife Madhu abandoned him, he asks to take her place in the hunt. The lawyer confirms that since he transferred power, he is no longer the head and is now just a follower, even if she ran away. Now it's Francesca's turn. She arrives fully armed and ready to settle her score with Grace. The sisters return to the hotel. Grace scolds Faith for not following her orders and running away. She could have at least called the police. She mocks her for always making stupid decisions without thinking about the consequences. Faith snaps back. Instead of thanking me for saving your life, she reminds Grace that she's only in this mess because of her. Still, she apologizes and says maybe she should have left her and learned from her mistakes. They argue again. Faith storms off. Moments later, Grace feels guilty and starts to follow her when Francesca suddenly appears in front of her, aiming a bazooka at her shoulder. But Francesca is holding it backwards. She fires it behind her instead of forward and shouts, "You people really deserve this curse." Grace sprays pepper spray in her eyes. Both of them become blind and start attacking each other randomly. At the same time, Faith feels guilty too and decides to go back to her sister. But it's too late. Titus appears and stops her from moving. He tells her, "The best thing you ever did in your life was coming here, because now we can use you to catch your sister." When she fights back and tries to escape, he chases and beats her. Francesca approaches Grace to finish her off, saying, "You stole Alex from me." Grace snaps her out of her delusion and tells her that Alex never loved her and never even mentioned her name. Enraged, Francesca charges at her. Grace pushes her hard, smashing the piano on her head. At the same moment, Titus prepares to kill Faith, but his sister stops him. She suggests using Faith as bait to lure Grace to them. They announce over the loudspeakers that they have Faith hostage. They let Grace hear her sister's voice and threaten her. "If you don't come within 10 minutes, I will kill her myself. Then I'll come after you too, and I won't stop until I find you." They tell her exactly where to find them. Grace is torn about what to do. She spots a weapons box, grabs a rifle, checks the security cameras and map to locate her sister, and walks forward with courage. She sees Francesca still alive and immediately shoots her, saying, "Give my regards to Alex." She enters the main building and starts searching room by room for her sister. She threatens one of them to talk, or she'll end his life. Suddenly, Felipe bursts in with two guns and fires at her, but none of the bullets hit her. She hides in the storage room until she sees Titus standing in front of her, threatening to kill her sister if she doesn't come out immediately. Grace shocks him by offering to marry him. He is surprised by the proposal. Faith begs her not to sacrifice herself for her. Grace explains that Juan told her about the loophole. If she marries him, he will take the position and she will live. Titus looks at the lawyer, who remains silent, confirming the information is true. He agrees. "I accept." They look for a quick solution because there's no time for full rituals and sacrifices. Grace comes out and hugs her sister after saving her life. They leave her alone and prepare for the wedding ceremony. Faith warns her that he is dangerous and suggests they team up to eliminate him completely so she can take control. When she turns around, she finds him standing there, having heard everything. He says sarcastically, "What a blessing sisters are." He attacks her, saying, "There's no rule preventing me from killing a member of my own family." He breaks her neck and kills her. Grace becomes terrified, but she has no other choice. She puts on a black dress and finds everyone waiting to begin their satanic ritual. Her sister tries to stop her, but Grace explains she has no choice. The lawyer begins the wedding and coronation ritual. He takes blood samples from Titus and Grace. He asks each if they agree to be partners. They both agree, sign the eternal marriage contract, and exchange rings. The lawyer announces they are now married. He hands over the ring of power, and the game stops. Everyone congratulates them. Suddenly, Grace attacks and stabs Titus in the neck with a knife. Everyone stands in shock, but no one stops her. She keeps stabbing him, removes the ring, and says the same words he said to his sister. "There's no rule preventing me from killing a member of my own family."